Donald, your beard is looking mighty impressive.
I haven't shaved in a while. They say that the longer the beard, the bigger the internal turmoil.
All right.
I don't know. Yeah.
Is it literally
yeah.
to think you're hiding behind your beard? Is it? Is that the idea?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, that's the idea. I mean, that's probably my favorite thing about Islam is that you're supposed to grow a very big beard at least once in your life. So you're supposed to, in this religion, have a complete mental breakdown.
All right. Okay. I'm not sure that that's exactly what they mean by growing your beard.
That's what I read.
There's sects of Jewishism that does that too, isn't it?
Is there? Probably. Yeah. There probably is the Hasidics. Is it with the cool?
Yeah.
Oh
awesome.
shit! I knew the name for them. I don't remember. Anyway, yeah, those guys are cool. I've seen them in airports and all. I'm like, wait now, are you allowed on airplanes? Because they're pretty strict about electricity and all that kind of stuff.
All right, but for a minute my brain went, "Oh, Spud's being extremely racist. Are you allowed on airplanes? You weird people." No, did they allow themselves on airplanes?
Let me tell you a funny one. There's Poland goes through these trends of using English words on their businesses. So like when Poland joined or stopped being communist, and do you remember, actually it was a thing in Ireland as well, remember there was like these jeans called X-Works, and the letter X was everywhere in front of businesses.
Yes.
So Poland had the same thing. But Poland over the last, say, 5 years or so has gone through this massive thing of like all of the transportation companies are called trans.
Oh no! This is going in the wrong way.
Yeah. Adam Trans. You know, and like there's one park just down the road from me every day, and I see it, and it's Trans bus. I'm like, that's not right. Like they have to get their own bus. That's just bigotry. That's just outright bigotry. Stop it.
I assume the word in Polish is not transport. Like it's just taking the English trans.
Oh yeah, that's all it. Transport. Well, it probably is transport. Actually, transportovania. Maybe it is. There's a lot of borrowing of words in the Polish language. Anyway, yeah. Tommy, how you been, man?
Yeah. I have a mission today, and I've already failed it numerous times. I've listened to our previous podcast, and I have this disgusting habit of just talking over you, Spud. And
yeah, so but you let me talk too much anyway.
And I said, I'm not doing it this week, and I've already done it 3 times.
Yeah, well, yeah. It's all right. Don't worry about it. I don't get offended. I know it's not great for radio because it's like, too many people talking, but you turn on any political radio and it's the same thing.
I've done one interview before the kind of latest Magic People type podcast, but they're not really interviews, they're more conversations. But I did one years ago with a guy called Alan Chapman, who's a very kind of famous chaos magician. And people really like it and listen to it a lot and all that, but I just can't listen to it because it's like me trying to butt in every 2 minutes. Oh, I know things as well. I know what you're on about.
Will you be my friend?
And it's so bad, but like, I know I'm probably being hyper kind of vigilant with that, but I'm definitely doing it, so I can't listen to it. So that was when
I'll tell you one from this week. My little one is definitely seeing ghosts, man.
Oh, cool.
I'm 99.9999999% sure she's seeing a ghost of the old dog in the house because she's doing this thing, right, where like, there's no way of sugarcoating this. She's quite a fat baby.
Oh, okay.
She likes her food, right?
Okay.
Which is great. I mean, she eats lots and she rarely turns her nose up at anything.
If you're ever going to be fat as a baby is the time to do it. Really,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Jesus, the poor, she listened back to this in years to come now. She'd be traumatized. Sorry, pet. And but anyway, when we were living in the old flat before we moved, and when Mickey had moved from, being fed with the bottle to sitting on a high chair, when he was full, he would start pushing his food off the tray, and he'd give it to the dog. The dog didn't really. The dog had patience for him, but he would avoid him most of the time because you know yourself, kids they try and shove things up their arses or fucking pull hair or pull their ears
nip
or whatever.
Them, slap them.
Yeah, exactly. So Rambo was the dog. Rambo would always avoid Mickey. Like Mickey'd walk into a room, Rambo would leave, like, because he'd just be, oh God, I'm gonna get tormented again. But they became best friends at meal times because when Mickey was full, he would start pushing his food off, and Rambo would get it all. So like lately, over the last like 2 weeks or so, the girl has started to do this when she gets full. She starts pushing her food off, and she starts saying how and woof woof.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and she's pointing at something like, and it's like because how is the Polish of what we say woof woof. So she's
Oh,
how
really?
woof woof how woof woof. So she, in two languages, like she's telling
Yeah.
us there's a dog here. It's like wow, it's
Wow.
crazy, man. It's pretty cool though.
That is cool. If the food starts disappearing from the ground, then get out of the house. Just get out of the house. Because I mean, it might have been a lovely dog, but number one, he was called Rambo, so there's something going on now, and he's now dead.
But I don't know. I mean, I've seen enough things about ghosts to be like, I don't. Well, this depends on the setting and all that. If I'd be afraid, but like if it's in my own house, I mean, hopefully I'd be like, you know what, ghost, this is my house. I have a right to live here. I fucking paid for it.
Yeah.
You're welcome to stay, but like we're better off just getting on because I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah. My wee man sees things as well. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure. Like, well, you've been to my house, so you know the sitting room kitchen kind of has two big windows,
Yeah,
and there's a field right behind it. But he does pick it up to any time, not every time, which is the interesting thing, but numerous times goes up and looks out the window and then goes, "Hello." And we go, okay. And it's not the dogs. It's he's looking middle distance, and he's like definitely has the same reaction when he sees people.
Yeah.
So instantly, my mind goes to this field full of dead people that I can't see. Like a big crowd, like you see it in like at the end of a zombie movie where they're all just out there. Going. But
Well, I mean,
my
it's a
wife's
very
convinced
old
it's relatives coming to see, which is nice. If that's the case, more than welcome.
Well, I don't know. I prefer the battlefield one because you live in a very, very old part of Ireland.
I do.
Well, Ireland is
yeah.
old anyway, but like there's a lot of legends and stuff happened up around your part.
Yeah, because we had to do an archaeological dig on the land before we were allowed to build.
Just find out. Obviously,
no, we did. We found bones and a whole host of really rare relics that we just kind of covered up and kept for ourselves. No, we did. We found a dog bone. That was it.
A dog bone.
Yeah, because and lucky in one sense that we didn't get unlucky for history, but lucky for us because you then have to pay for the archaeological dig to clear your site.
Yeah, and the government gets to keep whatever gets
and
found.
gets to keep it. Yeah, that's it.
What?
Yeah. But it's because we're literally the town wall ended, a 4 foot away from our house. And had we been the other side, they wouldn't give a shit. But because we're this side, they give the care.
So that meant that you built on the Irish side of the wall. Anyone inside the wall would have been English or British or whatever. Planters.
We're all part of the Pale, aren't we, in this area?
Yeah. That's true as well. Yeah. Right, Tommy. Will we talk about this film?
Yes. Well, we'll.
Or is there anything else you want to tell me?
No, I don't think so. No, I have a few things, but I'll tell you after the podcast because they're not suitable for general listenership. Because this is also for people that don't know, this is our catch up of the week as well that we talk after. But anyway, So first of all, what we're going to talk about this week is the idea of, or the movement, I suppose, that is Transcendental Meditation. And we have talked about meditation before, but this is a particular, I suppose, modality, or it's a particular flavor, or it's a particular cult. Spoilers. That we, it's a big enough kind of a topic to kind of go in on itself. I first came across Transcendental Meditation being a Beatles fan because, I think that's where most people came across the Maharishi, because he, that's when the Beatles went from, being the boy band, the cute band, into this kind of mystical 60s hippie psychedelic thing was this, when they met the Maharishi, and particularly George Harrison in particular, got into it. But the thing about it is that there's footage of all of them coming back from this retreat in India going, well, we made a bit of a mistake with him, didn't we?
Really, isn't it?
Yeah, which is interesting because then years later, and then in that documentary that we're going to talk about, you have Ringo and Paul coming up saying he's a wonderful man and all this kind of thing. So,
but it's not the real Paul though. Paul died.
Paul died indeed in 1969, isn't it?
1966, I think, isn't it?
Well, it's Abbey Road, so it's 1969.
All right. That's the single best conspiracy theory of all time.
It's brilliant.
Fucking fantastic. Yeah. I love it so much.
Yeah. Did you see the documentary of it? There's a whole documentary of it.
Is there? I've never even known this documentary.
It's so good. It's not, but it is. You know what I mean? It's like it's played as if it's a straight thing.
Yeah.
But with terrible actors. And,
Okay.
But it's there. It's on YouTube, or it used to be anyway.
Cool.
But
I gotta look that up.
Definitely worth watching. So yeah, there was this kind of the Maharishi, and the thing that happened at the time is, even though that the Beatles got into the spirituality, and then you had people like Donovan as well, and a host of other people around that kind of time. George went on into the kind of more Hare Krishna type of thing, and his own kind of spirituality, and he definitely continued the spirituality in a very public. He was probably the most private Beatle, but he can't be a private Beatle. But probably the most public spiritual rock star, or the first anyway of that kind of thing. But again, pulling away from the Maharishi, and the thing they kind of were saying at the time was that he had a little fondness for for the women, we'll say, and he'd say one thing at at talks, and then there'd be a very different thing late at night or whatever. But there was also, in the middle of all that, the Brian Epstein, the manager, died, and so there's more circumstances going on. He committed suicide because he was gay and allegedly in love with John Lennon, and it was unrequited love, and there was a whole huge kind of story all around this kind of thing. So there's, I'm sure there was aspects of whatever they said at the time around then have to be influenced by the bigger picture going on. So maybe that kind of makes sense of why then years later both Paul and Ringo will stand up at the David Lynch Foundation and say, "Oh yeah, awesome, man."
Well, Ringo just kind of goes,
"Yeah,
that's all Ringo does anyway."
That's what he did in the Beatles.
Out of time, by the way.
The thing, people always say, that give out about Ringo and stuff like that, but he's a very unique drummer. Yeah, it's the same kind of thing I feel about Larry Mullen. People go, "Oh, he's not a great drummer," but no one comes up with the stuff either of them come up with.
Yeah.
It's straight. It's probably wrong.
I think Larry's quite good. That bloody Sunday one is pretty hard to do.
Or With or Without You, which is, it's a very strange kind of drum beat. But if you talk to any drummer, oh no, he's terrible. He doesn't know how to drum. Because he doesn't do it right, because he learned himself.
Yeah, he taught himself. Yeah.
And Ringo probably suffers a bit from that, but he definitely comes up with anyway. But this isn't a Beatles podcast. I could go. We must do a Beatles podcast because I have lots to say about them.
I like the Beatles. Yeah.
Yeah. So the next kind of time I came up against Transcendental Meditation was David Lynch, and he was this huge proponent for it. And I'm a big fan of David Lynch, but in the kind of way I'm a big fan of a number of people like Neil Gaiman, and to a large extent Grant Morrison. These people, and I'm a fan of them. I like how they think. I like watching documentaries about them. I like interviews, but I'm not massively going on their actual artwork. I like Twin Peaks. I don't think it's the greatest thing that ever happened, but I enjoy it. Some of his films are great. I don't understand any of them, but I can enjoy it, and I definitely can recognize when you're watching other films or TV shows and you go, "Oh well, there's a David Lynch moment." He has a very particular style and all that, but I think his mind is wonderful. But he's a huge proponent of it, and other people it's a very celebrity orientated kind of thing. I'm assuming you knew nothing about it. Or
Transcendental. I can't even say it properly.
Right.
How do you say it? Transcendental.
Transcendental.
Yeah.
Well, that's how an Irishman.
Transcendental
is how an Irishman pronounces Transcendental.
I even find it.
See, we're back to the trans again.
Yeah. For years I couldn't say the Irish name Donal.
Right.
Okay, a little bit of a stammer when I'm trying to get the words out, but that's normal. But for years I used to have to practice saying in the mirror the word Donal.
Right.
Donal.
And did you know anyone called Donal?
Yeah, that's the thing. I knew one, he wasn't a mate, but he was a mate of one of my mate's friends or whatever. A mate of a mate, whatever. And I knew one, and I couldn't say his name. It was always Donal. Donal, give me the ball, Donal. Donal. Now I can say it, no problem.
Does it sound like it?
Transcendent. Well, all I knew about it was a little bit about what you had said about the Beatles, and I didn't know. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I knew it was some different type of meditation. That's all I knew about it, really. And if anything, it was a kind of a deep one where it led to maybe visions or something like that. That's all I knew about it. I didn't know how it started, why it started, where it came from. Nothing. Hadn't a clue.
Yeah.
I knew that David Lynch had something to do with something, but I didn't know it was this.
Right. Yes.
Until I saw the documentary,
Yeah, it's interesting because what happened, and we talked a bit about this last week, is that I decided I would go to a meeting of a Transcendental Meditation thing that was happening, just happened to be happening. Can I say happening any more times? close to me in the town over from me, like 2 days after I looked it up on the internet. So I went, and the first thing that you're presented with is a guy, it's very business, he's wearing a kind of a suit that's, in fairness, had better days, shoes that, needed to be polished, hair that needed to be cut, but like that kind of presentation. But he had that kind of shirt open, I'm casual business,
All right. Okay, one of them.
But he'd forgot his projector, and so he was lit this tiny little like laptop, but not a laptop, those tiny wee kind of
Oh no.
10-inch laptop things. Whatever they're called. There's a name for them, whatever. And he was showing this little documentary on a loop, beforehand. And we were all sitting there going, and it was, it was just me and the guy I had gone with, which is my mum's boyfriend. So he's big into meditation, huge into it. So I said, should we go and see what the crack is? And it was just basically us sitting there, and I'm going, oh no, oh no.
I hope someone comes.
Yeah. But then a number of people come in, but not a whole month. But but there was I'd say it was about 10 altogether was there. But this video anyway was just basically a loop of all the famous people who are into Transcendental Meditation, just talking about how wonderful it is. You had Russell Brand, you had Katy Perry, you had Wolverine dude, what's his name? Australian fella.
No. We'll start this again, and I'm going to give thumbs up or I know people can't see this. I'm going to go yay or nay for them. Okay, so first, go ahead.
Wolverine dude.
Meh.
Katy Perry.
Boo.
Jennifer Aniston.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, Jesus.
Come on, do
Russell
better.
Brand.
Okay, good.
Jim Carrey.
Yeah, I like him, yeah.
David Lynch.
After watching this, I think I like him more.
All right, brilliant, awesome. Paul McCartney.
Yeah, well, he's fake Paul, but okay.
Fake Paul. And legit Ringo.
Yeah, actually Ringo's great, man. Thomas the Tank Engine. I'm the fat controller.
And then there was a number of like American news anchors and people that I kind of was vaguely aware of, that I go, you're in a reality program that I've never watched, but I have Instagram, so I can't get away from, there was any number of them, but it was definitely presenting it as the Scientology of meditation.
Right.
It's like I'm just waiting for the Tom Cruise jumping on the couch moment of fake Paul.
Fake Paul.
Yeah, but it was an hour and a half of your man telling what Transcendental Meditation is and how wonderful it is and all the benefits of it, and it's kind of, I don't know where do we go into the documentary probably now at this point, because it's like the things I want to say. I suppose the things I want to say I also want to say about the documentary in general, kind of a thing.
Mm.
What do you think of the documentary? That's probably I'll stop talking for a while and try not to interrupt.
Well,
I don't want it.
Do you know what? It's okay. So as a piece of film, it's quite different than your normal kind of documentary, because he comes across.
It's called David Wants to Fly, by the way. Sorry.
David Wants to Fly. The guy's name is David Sheehan King, I think. So he's German. Yeah, Sheehan King. And he's just kind of finished film school. And he's kind of vloggy styling it. He's in his flat with his girlfriend. They're having kind of relationships, ups and downs. And it's kind of vloggy, but there's kind of this arty shots in it as well. Like there's him swimming and her swimming. Okay, that's kind of cool. Because it's like you don't see it in these type of documentaries, because it's very like for me, only watched it now. Like it came out 2009, I think.
Yeah.
I was like, well, this guy. Yeah. When? Sorry.
It was filmed in 2008, so I assume it's 2009.
Okay.
You can imagine, yeah.
So I was watching, just going like, this guy's just ripping off fucking Louis. Like it's exactly like his mannerisms, the way he talks, even the way he fucking looks. But I mean, you can't blame that. You look how you look. A skinny guy with Woody Allen glasses, you're going to look like Louis anyway.
Yeah. And Louis Theroux, for people who don't know.
Louis Theroux, who I'm a massive fan of. I love Louis, absolutely love Louis. And but then I did look up then, like when did Louis become big, and when this film came out, and Louis wasn't as big as he is now. He wasn't as well known. So he had done. He
definitely had done stuff though. He had done
stuff. But he had done like the Weird Weekend stuff.
Yes, yeah. And he did that dating thing. He definitely done it that way. The the guy, the speed date, not speed date, people who teach you how to date, and
Oh yeah, that would have been one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think he hadn't done like the Jimmy Savile stuff, right? Like
No.
that. So anyway, so I don't know if this David fella had seen Louis Theroux's stuff or whatever. Like so it probably didn't come off on purpose that it was very similar,
And he's German, which is a unique flavour. That he's definitely German.
He's definitely German. He's very German, which is great. Like he's kind of like, cause German people are so bonkers, like especially artsy one, which is a sweeping generalization, I know. But anyway, here we are. No, I liked it as a piece of film. I liked the way he didn't kind of he approached this as someone who's a massive David Lynch fan.
Yeah.
And he says, right, I want to meet David Lynch. I'm going to meet David Lynch. And then that leads him onto the road of the Transcendental Meditation.
Yeah.
And Lynch says something to him during one of the early interviews. He says something like, you have to find your own truth, And so he holds that for the whole documentary, saying, okay, I do have to find my own truth, because there's something about this religion or whatever. It is that I just can't swallow, like, because he gets into the meditation, he finds it helpful, he likes doing it, but he says something funny, is that, like, I've tried it for like a month or two now, and my life is still shit. Which is great, because a lot of these things are like, you do this and everything's going to be better, and that's not how life works. Like, you still have
But incidentally, just at the talk I was at, they said 6 weeks in your life, everything will be different. There is that. So when he's saying a month and a half and my life's still shit, that's probably a callback to what he was told. 6 weeks and your life will be
probably, yeah. But like, that's, you shouldn't be saying stuff like that to people. No. You know what I mean? Like, there's no, you have no idea what trauma someone is going through. So as a film, I think it's really, really good. It opens your eyes to how kind of religions can come across very positive, but there can be a underhandedness to it, because, like, for most people, like in the West, you hear this transcendental meditation, whatever, and you just think, it's a load of hippies going off to India getting stoned and just thinking. It sounds deadly, orgies and whatever. Like, if George Harrison is involved in it, there's definitely drugs and sex in it, So
definitely orgies.
Yeah, sounds cool to me, man. Yeah. All right, I wouldn't be into wearing those funny robes, but that's
George never did. He wasn't into wearing them either, so he never would do it.
Okay, so I'm liking it even more then. Target market here, but yeah, so. It sounds, I think we have this kind of romantic kind of notion about it, but then, like, in the documentary as it goes on, like, it's kind of like, it's a money making racket, like every fucking religion.
Well, it's definitely there's money making, and David Lynch, when kind of your man, the other David, kind of approaches him and says, it's a money making thing, and he goes, well. He's a good answer, I think. He says, when you're dealing with this kind of stuff, whatever, you want a business behind it. You want an organization. You want this. That's not a bad thing.
The example he says, well, if he says some vitamin or something. So if you're going to take vitamin A, and the way he does it, you're going to take vitamin A, then you want to be sure that it comes from a reputable business and it has passed all the checks and balances and it's good for you. Yeah. And it's like, holy shit, man, this is really convincing. Okay, they should be allowed to make money. Of course they should. But then, like, I mean, like,
great thing about David Lynch. Sorry, talking over you.
No, you were telling me that if you went, like, after this talk that you went to, it would have cost you €600 to get the
mantra,
not the sigil. What's it called?
Mantra.
The mantra.
Yeah.
But for the documentary maker, it cost him €3,000.
Yeah, well, I think he said it's $2,500. So €3,000. Yeah, so
crazy.
Yeah.
So that'll show you how the market has become saturated.
Well, I was looking into the different prices because I was kind of going. I remember hearing $250, but I obviously had confused that with $2,500. It used to be $1,000. That's what it was, and then it's kind of to say, oh well, we look at different countries and we look at the average wage and we look at this kind of thing, and then we kind of decide country by country what it is. But the money thing of it is very odd. When I was at the talk, it was all thing, and at the end, he very kind of matter of factly pulled out the whiteboard, started writing, and goes, and it's €600, and instantly into payment plans and direct debits, and you can pay me weekly. And he says, but I want, and this is for you, this isn't for me now. I want you that if you're going to pay me in a direct debit, I want you to have the direct debit mandate all sorted out before you come to me. That's not for me. I trust you 100%. That's for you to make the commitment. And I was going, really? I don't think so. But like, that's fine. And but there was people there, and I don't want to judgment people because you can't. It's hard to judge people from appearance alone. You can make a good guess. And there was people there who were very interested. They were definitely looking for something. They were looking for whatever help with everything. Who didn't appear to have a spare €600. That's the best way I can put it. Who by the end of it were in the process, because we just kind of left. We weren't hanging around. We're in the process of signing up to pay €600.
Yeah.
Which, even though you're saying, and yet the David Lynch thing's very convincing of, there's no organization behind it, blah, 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 blah. Essentially, you're paying €600 for a one, possibly two-syllable mantra that you can find on the internet. That's it. And I mean, that not even in a piracy way. You can find the transcendental mantras, certain ones. But it's just mantra meditation. It's you sit there and you repeat a mantra in the same way that you would sit there and count your breaths, as we talked about before, or you do any number of things. And transcendental meditation is not unique to having this kind of mantra thing. It's a well-known kind of thing.
Yeah.
But you're paying £600 or 2,500 or whatever is your local kind of pay level or whatever, for something that literally is freely available. With the organization element of it is you're not paying for. There's nothing happens out of that. You're not getting, you're not getting a newsletter or a fan club badge, or you're not getting access to the Transcendental Meditation local gym, or you're literally.
That's it.
That's it.
All you get is the mantra.
You can go to the meetings for a year. Why you would go to the meetings for a year? Because you would have heard that talk already for free, unless there's different type of meetings, and then you have to pay a tenner for your meeting.
Yeah.
Which I assume is just like at best is a group meditation.
Excuse me.
But the thing I have to stress about it all is because since it was last Tuesday, I think, so it's nearly a week. I said, right, I'm going to do it for the week because I've never done mantra meditation before. To any extent, I might have done it once or twice, 3 times over the course of a year or something like that, but never as a consistent practice. So I says, I'll go and look up what my mantra meditation is, or my transcendental mantra is. And if anyone wants to know how they get your mantra, because we were asking, is an individual mantra? Is that what you get? Does everyone get a different one? And he was saying, everyone gets their own mantra, but there isn't an infinite amount of mantras. There's about 10 mantras.
It's a whole.
But it's, there isn't an infinite, but, that could mean any number below infinity.
Yeah, not fucking 10.
Yeah, there's about 10. It depends on the teacher who leaked it. There's different years when it was leaked. And it's just and it's basically based on your gender sometimes, but mostly your age. So if you're between 35 and 40, you get
Did you assume my gender?
Yeah. Maybe that's why it's just done by age now. There's no kind of gender. But if you're between age 35 and 40, anyone who goes will get the same mantra, according to the internet. And between 40 and 45, which is what I am, I got one. And my mantra that I'm not allowed to tell anyone. If I paid £600, I would not be able to have the freedom to tell you, Spud, that my mantra is Hreem, Hreem. So you can look your own up. I assume yours would be, what age are you? You're not 40 yet, are you?
The next year. So
yeah, 39. So you would be in the bracket below me. So you'd have Karing or Shazam. Shazam would be great, man. But the point of a mantra, anyway, Tangent, is that it should be a nonsense word. It shouldn't be a word that means anything, because you will start thinking about what the word means if it's a real word. If you're thinking glasses, black glasses, shiny glasses.
Anti-disestablishmentarianism, 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 anti-disestablishmentarianism.
And then you sort of rebelling against everything, all authority. And go, why is this happening? So yeah,
there's a scene in it when he goes to a neurologist and they do an exam and he gets wired up with the skull cap and the wires and all that stuff. And they do an exam to see if his consciousness is kind of responding more when he says the mantra, or if he says a random German word that he has thought of. And the results came back that, when he was saying the German word that he knew, he was far more alert. And maybe alert isn't the right
no,
word.
he was more... He was getting more responsive to the thing that you should be getting in a meditative state.
Yeah. That was it. So the mantra didn't work for him at all.
But the problem with that is that the guy who was doing that was also selling a thing. He wasn't just a random doctor. There was a kind of the end of it. And well, we have found in our things that this is the type of meditation we prescribe and stuff like that. So it kind of felt like, well, you have a bit of an agenda there too, Or at least that's my recollection of that bit. Anyway, I think so.
I don't remember that bit.
Yeah. So correct me if not. But it is interesting though that the prescribed transcendental meditation mantra didn't work as well. But I mean, there was that thing that came out last year where was it CAT scans? No, it was some sort of brainwave scans that there had been an error in the programming of it since it came out, which meant that every single one of them was slightly off. Which is fine, but it still seemed to help loads of people. So thing, but it also means we don't really know what we're at. We've been using a broken thing for years, so it's been fine. It's okay.
But then, like, if this German word meant something to David, then like, could you have these kind of like induced transcendental meditations where like certain days you just think of one word? So like, today is Monday, the 10th of February. Today, your mantra is yellow, and then tomorrow it'll be cats or whatever. Like, I wonder would that work the same way?
Well, it probably would. Like it depends on what we mean by work. You know what I mean? Like they're probably, are we trying to? Well, I think it depends on your approach to meditation. Are you using the mantra as a kind of just a focal point, just something to concentrate on? So it's just essentially mindfulness meditation, which you can get the same effect with counting your breaths. You can get the same effect with looking at a candle, whatever it is, just because, your mind wanders back to the center of I was going to say intention, the center of attention. Jesus Christ.
Attention.
Attention, yeah. So a different word every day would why not? But I suppose the kind of, why isn't that done in meditation? And there obviously is a reason why that has never been prescribed as a thing, and why it's always do it at the same time, do it in the same way, that the repetitiveness of it seems to also, I suppose, get into the whole hypnotic, trancey type thing that is to be developed. So if you're using a new mantra every day, I suppose you're kind of exciting the brain every day rather than
rather than calming it. That makes sense. Yeah. Do you know, when I used to have awful insomnia there for a while. I used to lose like one night a week for a long time, and I convinced myself I had leukemia and all sorts of stuff. It was hilarious.
Can't sleep, definitely leukemia. Yeah.
No, because
is that a known side effect of leukemia?
No, on the second night after the night I wouldn't sleep, I'd like have night sweats, like have to change the sheets and all that the next day because the sweats are so bad. So like, if you ever Google night sweats, the first thing that comes up is leukemia. Like, no, I'm not going to the doctor. No,
I think if you Google bad haircut, you get leukemia. That's the first thing that comes up.
Yeah. But so on like nights that I couldn't sleep, not the insomnia night, the other nights, if I was having trouble sleep, I would say my old prayers that I used to say like when I was a kid.
Right.
I still remember them. Like they're still there. I could recite them all for you right now. I had about 12 prayers or something, and I could say them all. And then I just got to thinking, like, like after I'd lost my religion or faith or whatever, I would still use it the odd time because it's a mantra. It's something that calms you down, and you're gone.
That's exactly it. I mean, it's just. Well, I suppose the idea that when you have the shorter mantras, that you get the repetitive a bit more, because if you're saying like "Yeah, Father," it takes whatever 30 seconds to get through it. Well, maybe not, whatever it is, and so you're breaking up, and it's harder to keep the concentration. When you're trying to sleep, you don't want to keep the concentration, but in a meditative kind of way, you want to keep the concentration. A shorter syllable or kind of repeating thing is probably a better for that hypnagogic type of effect. But what I said, so I did it for a week, and it's been wonderful. It's been really, really
Yeah.
good. I'm really like, it's like really enjoying it, and because I have the brain I have to go. But why? Question this. Pull this apart. Don't enjoy it. Let's really, really inspect this and ruin it. But what I think it is rather than counting the breaths, which is what I normally do, or some sort of possibly my second favorite, I suppose, is a noting technique where you just start labeling things: thought, worry, backache, bill has to be paid, whatever that kind of thing.
Porn.
Yeah, porn, yeah. Um, just repeating the thing kind of takes place of that voice that you have in your head, that some of us have in our head. But
Yeah, what's this all about?
we don't all have in our head.
Did you see this
Weirdos.
mental floss? Wasn't it? People
Yeah.
don't have. There are some people that don't have an inner monologue. What the fuck is wrong with you people?
No, like,
That's impossible. Like, it must be. What's the word? A savant? Is that it?
yeah.
Like, just
Well,
like fucking. Like, just go work on an assembly line or something. You waste of a
because I was
soul.
asking people then, and a couple of people said, "Oh yeah, I don't have an internal monologue."
What?
And so I goes, "What happens when you read?" And he goes, "Oh, just images just come into my head." And I'm just going, "I don't believe you. I just don't believe you." But it's because, I mean, it's because I can't fathom it at all. How you could sit there and read a line of dialogue in a book and not have
No.
that person's voice
No.
in your head, or But so the thing for those people, I think there's 82% of the people in the world to work out. I don't know where I got this figure, who do have an internal monologue. When you use something like a mantra, it replaces that thing that counting the breaths doesn't seem to do, because you could still be going 1, 2, 3, blah 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 4. But if you have like hareem, 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 it's very hard to go hareem. Did you pay that bill? Hareem, hareem. What about? See, remember what your mum said to you earlier on today? Hareem,
Hareem is keen. Ice cream.
Ice cream. Believe, yeah. Ice cream. So I think that's what's going on. But I definitely had one of the best meditations I've ever had in my life this week. Whether that's just kind of, causation and correlation. I've been meditating for a long while.
Yeah, but
it might have
sure.
been something. But
As
it was
long as
like
it's going well,
20 minutes, and then the bell went off, and I was going, "What?" I can't, I'm just getting into this. you can calm down, Bell. But it was wonderful. Then, of course, I ruined it the next day by trying to get back to that state, and I was just overthinking it and going, why aren't I there? Why haven't I got the serenity? Ooh. So I ruined it all for me. But so my point out of that is that no matter what you say about Transcendental Meditation as, say, the organization or the presentation or whatever, the tech itself is perfect. There's mantra meditation is spot on. There's no question about it. And some of the stuff that they kind of say is the benefits of meditation, I think TM people go a bit far. That kind of thing where they say, if 20%, 10% of the world or 20% of the world did TM, there'd be no violence, there'd be no crime, everyone would have a free ice cream, mortgages would disappear, whatever it is. But, and then they have this kind of thing that, we brought a load of people into this town, and, it made up 7% of the town. And during the whole time of that meditation, there was no crime committed at all. It's going, okay, I'm sure there's a 2-hour period where there's no crime committed in RD right now. And they go, yes, it was when the cat was on the wall. Keep that cat on the wall. So I think that's a bit too far, but when you have things like, it certainly gives you peace of mind, or can help with anxiety, depression, all of those kind of mental things, and it does seem to have some sort of physiological plus as well. Like, it does seem to help with pain relief, and things that even like PTSD, which can have, I think has both a kind of a psychological and can have a kind of a physical kind of element to it as well. But the whole idea of I mean, I don't know. Maybe if there was more people kind of meditating and all that, I don't think in a magic sense that we suddenly consciousness would, crime would kind of fall, or, there'd be less wars. I think if more people were self-aware, we're probably going to do less shitty things to each other, Well,
people would just be sounder to each other,
Yeah.
That'd be it. Like, there was towards the kind of last, say about 75% way through the doc, he starts trying to meet people who have left the organization, and that was done in a kind of a strange way, because as I was watching it, I was watching it with Ag, and I says, like, he should be going after these people. He's just talking about them and he's kind of showing people on screen, but he's not interviewing them. And I'm like, this is very strange. What's it like? If this was a normal documentary, he'd be interviewing them. And
I
then
assumed they didn't want to.
but then he lands 2 big interviews. Then he lands this Yogi fella's former like head servant or whatever.
The secretary or something, isn't it? Like,
yeah, and he was like going to sell his fucking shoes. Like, fuck, Jesus.
I'm sure they're well sold at this point.
And then there was the lady shoes as well, who was like Yogi's fancy lady. And she was gorgeous back in the day. And yeah, so what's his full name? Something Yogi. He was
Mahesh. I can't remember now. I did like Mahesh Yogi. It'll come to me. It'll come back.
Yeah, Mahesh. Let's call him Mahesh Yogi then. So Yogi. So Yogi had a thing for the ladies.
Yogi Bow.
Like Yogi definitely had a thing for the ladies, and it's such a scummy way of doing it as well. Probably a bit like Louis C.K. except Louis C.K. just had a wank.
Yeah.
in a position of influence.
Yeah, yeah.
But then again, I mean, they were consenting adults. It's not like the women or this woman who was interviewed anyway. She never alleged that anything untoward happened. It's just that she found herself in the room with him. Everything was all sexy and good, so they got it on a good few times. And he was like, "Shh, no, don't tell anyone." And of course, it'll be our little secret. And of course, then a younger, sexier lady would come along, and then he would go off with her. And like she said to him at one point, like, "What would happen if I became pregnant?" And he was like, "Oh, you'd be married." And it was clear, like, it wasn't like
not to him.
Me. I'm not married. Yeah?
Yeah.
We'll get you sorted with someone else. Like, what
Yeah.
the fuck, like, so. There's all that kind of shit
Yeah,
going on.
and the other guy, he said something like it was maybe because I watched a few things, so it might have been the secretary guy, but one guy definitely in one of the interviews said that they had donated $1.5 million or something to the organization.
It wasn't $1.5 million. No. It was 150 million.
Oh, right. So, right. Sorry.
So this was like one of the richest fellas in America at the time. Him and his brother owned a book publishing house. This is before the .com craze all came along and everyone lost their shit in it. But so he and his brother had invested $150 million. $150
million, just like
could you imagine
it was $1.5 million? Oh, that's nothing. 150 million, yeah.
So he had invested this money with Yogi because Yogi said that the
Maharishi, that's his name. Maharishi.
So
Mahesh Yogi.
Mahesh
Yogi. Right, Yogi.
Okay, well, I like Yogi better anyway. Yeah. I'm gonna go Yogi. So Yogi and his whatever had convinced your man that they were going to build this big town or city somewhere in India, and they were going to have 10 or 15,000 people living there, and they were all just going to live in bliss and meditate all the time for world peace, and they were going to get it.
Yeah.
So your man lost 150 million dollars because obviously we aren't living in a fucking peaceful utopia. And then David, the director, he goes off and finds this town, and he's like, "Shit, how am I going to walk in here?" So he comes up with a great idea of he's going to get his face painted and look like he's been deep in meditation for days, and just kind of stumbles up to the guard and he's like, "Yeah, I think I'm supposed to be inside." And the guard is like, "Oh, okay, so what?" And then he brings them on like a guided tour of the place, and it shows the aerial shots of it, and it's massive.
Massive.
It should have been a big, huge town, and he's like, only 3 buildings had people in it. Like there must have been 100 buildings. Like must have been at least 100 buildings, and there was like 3 of them had people in it, and there was nowhere near like 10. So it's all just a scam.
Was that the same place where the locals were saying that people, if they escaped, were quickly caught?
No, that was in America, because there was another kind of compound in America, and where people did get out, like they would come and track him down and bring him back and stuff. I mean, like, okay, I get you. The idea of transcendental meditation sounds cool, and if it's helpful, well then, and it makes you a better person, go for it. But like,
don't join that club.
this is the whole thing. Like we had this last week as well. This groupthink, you know. It's the whole thing of like when people get together, just bad things happen.
Oh, the German, your man in Germany, that's so bad, that whole thing. So David Lynch and this mad German who's like a Raja, who's like one of the head guys in. To be a Raja, you have to pay $1 million to Mahesh Yogi, whatever his name is. Personally, just that's how you become a leader in the $1 million, please. Thank you very much. And he didn't even, one of the guys who was explaining that didn't even pay it. Some friend he met at lunch one day paid it for him and his wife. God. But anyway, there's this German guy, and he's odd. Like, there's something, he's more than just, he's German. Like, there's an extra quality of oddness to him. And basically gets up and goes, Hitler had the wrong kind of idea about this, but, or not the wrong idea, but the wrong way of doing it. Wrong way but of the right idea.
Yeah, he gets up and he starts saying, Germany will be invincible. And then people start booing him. Boo, what the fuck? Hitler said that. And then he responds, he's like, well, Hitler just had the wrong way of doing it. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like, Germany would be invincible. Like,
and then you can see quickly David Lynch just coming up, just move out of the way.
Yeah, but he was like this really dumb Labrador. You know, there wasn't a bad bone in his body.
No,
it's
just did not understand what was going on.
Yeah, his logic was like, we will have no enemies if we're all friends. And like, oh yeah, okay, I can buy that. Yeah, okay, let's all be friends. Okay, let's try and all be friends at least. Would be my thing. And so cool, and like then like Germany will be invincible because his logic was we'll have no enemies because we'll be friends with everyone. I was like, oh, okay, well, I mean, I can think of a couple of countries that aren't quite forgiving Germany quite yet. It's going to take another while. I live in one of them, you know, and it's very strange, and like it's just like what I said. Like if the meditation is cool and it works, go for it. But,
the levitation thing is also worth pointing out. That's ridiculous. That levitation, hopping bullshit. Like,
that's not going to work.
Where you can, so one of the siddhis that you get from meditation, siddhi is a spiritual power or a magic power. That is, we've talked about. It's a guy called Patanjali. Years and years and years ago, came up with these and says there's a certain type of powers that come with meditation. But his warning was, ignore them. They will go away. Don't pay any attention to the man behind the curtain. Just keep going. Whereas in Transcendental Meditation, they kind of try to, develop them. But it's basically their form of levitation is young boys in lotus posture hopping over gym mats.
Yeah.
Really.
It's funny, isn't it?
Yeah.
It does look like fun, though.
I just go like, and your man's in from go, could the Maharishi levitate? Well, of course, yeah. Why did he never do it? Oh, well, he was a very humble man.
I was too humble. Okay. All right.
And the other one where, near the end where he goes back to early in the documentary with David Lynch to make this big song and dance of, putting in the foundation stone or the first stone of this new building. And your man, German David, goes back, 2 years later and the place is a dump. Nothing has been built.
Yeah, nothing's done, yeah. It's I mean, but it's like... It's probably, I suppose that's a problem with any religion in these types of documentaries. Like, okay, you have all the nice, good, fluffy stuff on top, but then like every single organization has it. There's always something dodgy going on underneath as well, like,
And you even see the power play when Maharishi died, that it was all grand for 10 minutes until someone went, well, I think I should be leader.
Yeah. Like
and it's like, turn all the cameras off, stop everything.
Yeah. The Indian lads are like, there's no fucking way a white man is running this. Like, there's no fucking way. Like, we have a good fiddle going on here, and we're all lining our pockets. If the white man comes in, our days are fucking numbered, lads. Because they fucking
that German fella, keep him away.
The white man fucks everything up. But sure, I mean, I don't know, like. It definitely put me off it. It really did put me off, and especially then. Okay, the money thing and all that, you can look past it, because it's not as insidious as, say, the Catholic Church is for us being Irish. You know what I mean?
Sure.
For me and you, they're just an evil shower. They're horrible.
Yeah.
But you can look past it a bit with Transcendental Meditation, because you're like, all right, you know what? Yeah, they made a ton of money out of it. But the message is still good, and it's probably better than Catholicism, because Catholicism, you're born with sin, Whereas this one is like, well, no, you can become good, and we can all have peace and harmony if we just sit in the dark and think. Okay. Not even in the dark, just sit and think. Okay, all right, that's all right. But, and even the sexual stuff, like it's all between consenting adults as far as
and Transcendental Meditation is definitely, that's not alone in that. You can watch any amount of religious organizations where the guru dude is having sex with everyone. That's just standard. It's standard.
Yeah, it is standard, yeah.
Yeah.
What point was I trying to get to?
That it's not as bad as it. Yeah.
But no, yeah. So what really put me off it then was in the last, say, 5 minutes of the documentary, 10 minutes, was that they go to the place where Maharishi Yogi studied.
Yes.
And they're like, yeah, look, this guy. Well, the first thing about a guru is a guru doesn't ask for money ever. He will give his teachings, and the only penance that you give is that you give up your sins. That's all we ever ask for as gurus, is for you to stop being a sinner so that you can go on to the next level. And this guy hadn't a fucking clue, and he pulled the wool over all your eyes, you fucking morons. That's basically what he's saying, you know? Spoiler!
He said that the Guru Dev, or DEV, Dev, was the guy who was Maharishi Mahugu Wugu's, who he said that's who his teacher was. But it turned out that he was a Guru Dev, who is, by all accounts, you know, an awesome dude, all of this type of thing. That Maharishi was his secretary, and not kind of like for about a year and a half or something, you know, and was never allowed into any of the teachings, was literally the kind of the bureaucrat, you know, wasn't any kind of ascended master or, you know, part of the inner circle or whatever, and just hung around for a year and a half and went, yeah, I can make a lot of money out of this.
Yeah, I got this, man. You don't want to. He probably watched a documentary about Edward fucking Bernays or something. Sigmund Freud, and went, hoo. I'm gonna fuck over the white man. Oh.
There's another documentary, but I mean, I love the mentalness of these people. There's another interview or documentary on YouTube, and it's an Australian interviewer going to, you know, he's going to interview the Maharesh or whatever yogi guy. I just can't get that in my head. But so he goes to this hotel, and he's brought into this hotel room and sat down in a chair, and there's a TV screen put in front of him, and it comes on, and it's all like, and it's really terrible, like interference, the whole thing, and he has to interview Yogi, who's in the room above him. Through the telly, and he's going, why have I to do this? Why do this? Oh, I just have no time for people anymore. And you go, well, you know, you came to fame from the Beatles. Forget about it. Forget about the Beatles. It's just the most ridiculous. It's like if it was Bono doing it, you go, oh, round of applause. That's a proper rock star move, you know. But it's like this kind of spiritual dude.
There's a good moment as well. It's quite insightful about how influential the religion that you're born into will be on you. They start talking about they have this massive kind of compound churchy thing in somewhere in Middle America, and cost a fortune for their schools and all this stuff. And one of them, I think it was a former member, said that it was something like, you know, if you get people into these religions young, like even if they leave, they're still a member. And I know me and you still have this. Like you still have your Catholic guilt, even though you've left it a long time ago. But they say that like when it comes to things like, you know, political, say, policies or social decisions and stuff like that. So say, for example, in Ireland, like homelessness is a big thing, or this thing of owning the right to own your own house or to get help to own your own house. Like that's a big issue for Irish people because we've always had this thing about home ownership. But for like people in Switzerland, fucking hardly anyone owns a house. You know?
Yeah. But today, have 600 years of being told to get out of your house.
So, but he says that. So basically, like once you're caught at a young age, then when it comes to you voting and all like that, you will probably still vote the way that you were taught in these religions. So like you'll probably still be anti-abortion, for example.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, and it's that really, as we'd say at home, that sickened my shite. That you know, that made me really
because you know it's true.
Stomach. Yeah. No, I know it's true, but also like for them to just outright, you know, for a former member to come out and just say it so easily and just like, yeah, well, this is the idea of the schools. It's because.
But isn't it not is it the not Saint Benedict, but is one of the monks, isn't it? Is it the friar? One of them said that if you give me a child by the age of 6, I will have him for life. Like it's the same sentiment, isn't it? Like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if I'm going to be trying transcendental meditation.
Well, I tell you,
honest,
don't try transcendental meditation, but as part of it, because
Try the
Spud is
normal
going to
one.
be doing experiments on his own podcast, and meditation, you've decided, is going to be one of them.
Yeah, I'll do it.
I would definitely recommend doing mantra meditation.
Yeah.
But, don't be trying the levitation. Don't be trying to, stop crime in your area or any of these things. And certainly don't be charging anyone €600 to. And the guy who was doing the meeting I went to, so when you paid the €600, you went to his apartment in Drogheda. It's not like you went to this nice church or this, kind of office or anything. You just went to some dude's apartment, and he's on a Saturday morning, and then you had to go to his apartment again for 4 more days or 3 more days to get, to make sure you're fully inculcated into the entire thing.
God, no, you're gonna have to give him a hand job or something as well. Then there's definitely a hand job in there somewhere.
I would hope not. That brings it to an entire new level. But I just my kind of takeaway from all of it is that, number one, I still think David Lynch is brilliant, and I think it's, as you say, it doesn't change his madness kind of suits the whole kind of thing. It's you kind of go, yeah, no, I totally get that. That's fine. And I think he's definitely been honest. I don't think he thinks it's a scam. I think he believes that if you get 20% of the world to meditate, that the world will change. I think he believes the story. I don't think he's trying to con. I think Russell Brand also believes the story, and I don't know about the rest. But and the other thing is that it definitely works. The mantra meditation, the tech itself definitely works, and you do not need to, go to a meditation class if you want. You know what I mean? But if you find it, or download Headspace app, or any amount of YouTube teach you how to meditate. I'm not saying don't get help from anyone if you want it, but you don't have to spend 600 or 2,500 to get a secret mantra that you're not allowed to tell anyone. You know what I mean? And you have to do this kind of puja, which is an introductory ceremony where you have to bring a flower, you have to bring 2 pieces of fruit and a hanky. Now, the hanky, now that you mentioned the hand jobs. So, hold on, there's a whole different angle going on here. But, you don't have to do any of that. And I think it's that thing, the video I did last week, is don't add to the bullshit. Transcendental meditation is adding to the bullshit. Mantra meditation, sit in a cushion, shut up, say your mantra, 20 minutes.
Of course, because there's something else that the neurologist or neurosurgeon or whatever he was, he said as well, is that this is the thing about religion. Religion will promise you how to sort out your life. It gives you kind of small steps at first, how to sort out your life, how to be a better person, da. But then once people have bought into that and things are getting better, they still want more. So then they offer you something special. So then it's this everlasting life, or it's this levitation, or it's this world peace, or whatever. And it's something that's this unattainable goal that humans have this fucking appetite that they just cannot, they just have to go for,
Yeah.
That's
better knees again.
That's
exactly that thing.
Yeah. That's exactly what it is, man.
But it's like the Scientology thing, though, is that they wait until you're far too invested to tell you the real woo-woo. You go, well, I've sunk 2 million into this. Right, UFOs, grand. Let's just go with it at this
point. On a scale of the worst religions, it's not really proper religion because it's meditation, but it's not the worst.
No. There's no kind of there's no God to worship. There's no kind of cult figure. You're not worshiping David Lynch. You're not worshiping even the Rajas. They don't seem to be. They're not necessarily the Maharishi. You probably did have to, in a sense.
Reminded me of something like what you said there about David Lynch and Russell Brand believing in this. If we all meditate and pray, the world will be better. Whatever. What do you think, Tommy? Is the point where it's or where do you think the line is for people that how to say this now? This isn't coming up properly. So it's they've invested in something, in a belief system, and then they're blinkered by it. Then that they stop asking questions. So David Lynch, he's a very intelligent man, award-winning film director, writer, has made some very, very influential
You could say
Films, etc.
genius, and you wouldn't, you could probably, it's genius in many ways.
Of course you could.
Yeah.
Russell Brand is a cool guy as well.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of his. But like you think like, all right, these lads are smart. Like, how come they've gotten this far into it and they can't see the nonsense? Like, why are they blinded to it? And in general for people in religion as well. Like, where is that point for a lot of people, or how come that point is a lot
I can tell you
than
where it is in Catholicism, because I've asked people about it. It's because that's not my Catholicism. So you go, oh, you look at all the the child abuse and all of this, fucking babies in boilers and or whatever, all that unspeakable thing, and you go to someone, you're member of that, you're part of that. Oh no, that's before my time. That's other people. That's horrible thing. That's a complete separation between. But I don't think that's quite the same as what David Lynch is doing or something like that. I would say David Lynch, well, he's wacky enough to probably believe that the levitation thing is a thing, and he probably does. I don't think he thinks it's woo-woo. I think he probably believes that that's it. Russell Brand will only go so far as to say he thinks the meditation practice is really good for you. He doesn't he doesn't do the levitation stuff. He doesn't really mention it. And if it's ever brought up, I've noticed recently, he'll mention other people around it. So he'll go things like Transcendental Meditation. He'll go like Sadhguru, or he'll mention a few other people to kind of disperse just the concentration on the thing. But yeah, that's not answering your question. I don't know where the cutoff is. I think it's like, there was this one, Doreen Virtue, I think is her name. And she did all those angel cards and wrote loads of books about angels, and she was the angel person, and it was multi-millionaire from it, whatever, and then decided it's all, not even that it's all bullshit, it's all satanic, and she became a Christian and a Catholic and has completely disowned all that other stuff, and that's the work of the devil and all of this.
What's she do with the money, Tommy?
I don't know, but I assume, but from the thing of it, I think she has shunned the money. Like, she's not taking anything for it. I think now she mightn't be as great a person as them, or maybe she gives it to the Christian sky god dude, who needs more limos for some reason. But I can even understand it myself though in a certain way. Like, say you're a Call of Duty player, right, and you have a YouTube channel. And all you do is play Call of Duty, and it's Call of Duty, and that's your brand, and that's you're into it. And if you do, I'll try a Battlefield video, and no one watches it, so you don't make it, Or you go, or maybe I'll try to do a Tomb Raider, whatever it is. No one's interested. Just play Call of Duty, dickhead, and and the new Call of Duty comes out, and you go, I really can't stand Call of Duty, and you go, I have to play it. And now this is I have too. It's like that Scientology. I have too much in at stake. I can't go back to going on the dole. I'll play with this new crap Call of Duty. And I think there's definitely an element of that with people. It's willful ignorance as well.
But sure, like well. we all have it. I think you mentioned John Lennon last week, and how, like John Lennon used to beat the living shit out of Yoko Ono. John Lennon even went out with Yoko Ono's sister because Yoko wanted to keep him. Like, it's crazy.
I was reading one of his autobiographies, and Stuart Sutcliffe, the original bass player, died of some mad brain thing. It's very probable it's because John Lennon jumped on his head the year before and left him in hospital. Like, so I mean, from very early those issues.
But we all have someone we're a fan of, or in our lives that's like that. Like, I don't know, say like, I mean, I like Kanye West music. I think he's a fucking muppet.
Yeah.
But like, I think his music's good. Or like, pick any footballer you want. Really, Eric Cantona, fucking amazing footballer.
Lunatic.
Complete looper. And like, not always in a good way, but like, yeah, it's I mean, I suppose on one level we all, because we can all see the humanness in other people and recognize, okay, that's a fault he has, but I'm still going to accept him because I like him. But for me, I think that line is very hard to draw when it comes to something that is, large groups, say religions, or any like, even like fanboy stuff like Android and Apple and all this kind of weird stuff. It's like, Jesus, like, doesn't matter,
I think it's worse when it's in spiritual type circles, because the whole point of meditation is to become a better person, and that's the thing. So if the person who's the proponent telling you how to do this isn't a particularly nice person, I think it's worse than John Lennon, who just writes songs
Yeah, of course,
He's not saying
yeah.
I'm a good person. He doesn't have to
Yeah.
be. It's just I write songs. It's not, be a good boy
Of
or
course, of
whatever.
course. Look,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
look. We used to have stuff like this in college about like, some footballer would be caught in an orgy or whatever, and it's disgraceful. And I was always saying like, he's a footballer. Like
yeah, yeah.
seriously, if he's if he's an influence on your children, you're a bad parent.
Yeah.
You have failed as a parent if Wayne Rooney is the guy that your kid looks at. The kid should be looking up to you and and his uncles and his aunties and cousins. Not a fucking footballer.
And it's weird that we have different kind of levels for different things, like a footballer in an orgy. Oh no, lead guitar player from Thin Lizzy. Oh, good man. That's what you want.
It's funny, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's mad. But like, see, that's why Yogi, having sex with those women, like, he wasn't married. He was single. He didn't really like. There's no allegations of him being rapey or anything. It was just like, okay, we're alone.
Yeah, I've no issue with that at all. It's like, you wonder even, like, she kind of regrets it more in a regrets the way you regret an ex-boyfriend treating you a bit shitty. Not in an abusive or anything.
She just regrets that someone else came along. That's what her thing was,
Yeah.
And well, fair enough. Like, I don't know. Like, I mean, no, look, the documentary is very good. I mean, we've spoiled it for everyone now, but it's quite good.
You should still watch it.
I like the way it's made.
I think there'll still be an impact if you see it.
The only thing I'd leave out, though, I'd leave out his relationship stuff.
That breakup in the middle of it was ridiculous. Because all I was thinking of, who's filming that? It took a moment before the start of crying of the breakup to go, will you just film this? Will you just make sure you get this? I might tear up right here.
Make sure you're in frame, guys. Make sure you're in frame. What's your motivation?
The best line in the entire documentary is, myself and my girlfriend have been getting on much better since we broke up.
Okay, dude. Yeah. He has other ones now. He has a new one out like last year about vaccinations, and it's about anti-vax, because usually it's Karens, women, that lead the charge on anti-vax. But his documentary is about male anti-vaxxers.
Oh, right. Must check that out.
But he's married to a different woman and has not married to a different woman. He obviously didn't marry that girlfriend. He has had another relationship, and he has 2 children with them.
All right.
And up to then, I think the kids hadn't been vaccinated. I don't know how it goes, to be honest. I don't know if I bother watching it, because it would just make me annoyed to watch anti-vax people,
Yeah, it's like, they're hard, those documentaries, because sometimes you can just go, right, from the outside, outskirts, I know what I feel about this, and no matter what is presented here, I'm going to feel. So all that's going to happen here is I'm going to be annoyed about other people doing silly things.
And Man City are playing in the Champions League tonight, so like, I mean, I'd rather be entertained than be annoyed.
But I mean, it's probably a well done document. Going by it being his first documentary is very cohesive and coherent documentary.
I mean, for a fellow who's just left fucking film school, I think it's great. Mm-hmm. I'd have left out the relationship stuff, but to be honest, I think it does kind of give something as well, because it is more of a kind of an art housey or art.
Because I think it started out, the documentary is about him trying to do some sort of dark art like his hero David Lynch. Yeah. That's what the documentary is. So it's his kind of experience. It just so happens that he gets caught up in Transcendental Meditation.
Yeah,
so I suppose you have to bring in the kind of girlfriend and all that, because that's what the story was.
Well, at the beginning, yeah.
But you could probably edit all of that out, so I just start with Transcendental Meditation.
It just reminded me as well, because he'd been filming it so well, like he'd gone to the Maharishi, to Yogi's funeral and all. They were dipping into the Ganges and just having a great time at this funeral. And it looked like a really spiritual and emotional event, and it was well done. And then, so he kind of has an in now, because David Lynch likes him, and he's filming all these things, and like, we might have another fellow we can kind of use here. And I don't mean in an underhanded way. It's just here's a talented filmmaker. He let him in, kind of thing. But then they go along to the big conference where there's the power grab, and then like they start saying that, no, you can't film this. Oh, you're going to have to show us this. Even David Lynch at one point, he wants to see it before it's been edited.
Yeah.
Like, Get the fuck out of here, man. This is my film. Who do you... Well, unless you want to give me the $5 million it's costing. If you give me the $5 million it's costing, you can totally have all the tapes.
Yeah,
No
but I
problem.
suppose you don't know what deal though was made for him to get that funeral kind of footage, or you don't, like I like even when they were kind of saying, "Show me the footage," or we need to see the footage. It was him saying it rather than an interview of a talking head saying it. The one guy who kind of was up against him when he was pretending to be the TV guy from Switzerland or something.
Yeah.
And he just comes in and go, "Listen, we're not interested in doing a documentary if you're just going to shit us." It wasn't that harsh. It was fairly firm, and he still got his interview. You know what I mean? They still let him do it.
Yeah.
And that was the David Lynch bit where he had good answers that didn't sound. Well, he was definitely on the defensive, or he was being a bit aggressive as David Lynch could be, but it wasn't answers that had been written down. Like he definitely was answering off the cuff. It wasn't like the party line or anything like that. But I don't know. It's definitely. It has more than enough tick boxes on the checklist of cult to be worth staying away from.
Yeah. Stay away from them. Do the mantra stuff, but don't get involved with them.
Don't pay the money.
Don't give them any money.
Actually, do whatever you want. Don't be listening to.
Oh well, yeah. Of course, Tommy. Of course, yeah. Don't ever listen to
that. Right. That's us. Bye.
Goodbye.